Hi, everybody. Welcome. Hi, Kim. How are you doing?
Hi, I was just looking at my hair was bumpy, so
Oh my God, I was looking at mine before
what's
we went on.
happening?
My brush is in my
Oh
bathroom.
my gosh.
I was doing my hair
Oh.
a long time ago. So I just want to welcome our good friend Kim today to be here on the channel, and thank you for so much for coming here. And Kim, as most of you know, is an amazing medium, an amazing channeler, um,
Mhm.
an amazing intuitive, and so much compassion in your heart. So it's always a joy to
Oh,
watch you on your channel, and it's always a joy to have you here. And today we're very lucky because Kim's going to help out with doing some readings. So we're just going to go live and roll it. And so if anybody's got any questions, pretty much questions for the group if you can, and spiritual questions. We're not going to do any political, but
yeah.
we are here, and it's me. I'm the administrator here today, so bear with me. And anyway, also you've got something. It's not that new. You've had it for a while, but you've always had your Let's Chat on Sunday, but now you've got the Spirit Speaks
Mhm.
channeled. I love that.
Oh, thank
So
you.
anybody that hasn't heard that before, Kim has everybody from Janis Joplin to Gandhi to Mr. Rogers on it, and and you're channeling them, and it's really fun to listen to. It's
Oh,
really
thank you.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, both shows are on kind of on hiatus right now. I kind of took a little bit of a break, which,
yeah,
like I said, I can talk about, um, but that show was actually, my daughter, I said, I wanted a way that people could still ask like world questions or stuff that was going on in the country or things like that, because there's a lot of curiosity, but also anxiousness, fear, worries. And so I was trying to think of a way to be able to do that, but not really do it all the time, because it's very exhausting to go into those energies, and they're dark, to be honest, and they're kind of like heavy energies, not evil, but just like heavy, and they can stick with you. And so um my daughter said, why don't you do, you're wanting to work on mediumship, so why don't you talk to different famous people from all walks of life, musicians and artists and politicians and world leaders, and I thought that it sounded terrifying, and so I've learned that if something scares me, it's a sign to go for it, to walk through that fire, because it's something I need to work on, and that it will be very amazing if I do. That there's always a kind of the gold at the end of the rainbow kind of thing. So I just feel like it's always a sign for me you're about to grow, basically. So walk through that fear and go towards it instead of going away from it. So that's how it started.
that's huge. That was one of my questions for you today, is about fear. Before we got started, I wasn't sure what exactly we were going to do, but I kind of feel like fear is really eminent around us. I mean, there's so much going on in the media, and on the planet too, right? So many earth changes going on right now. But it's really, the fear is kind of pervasive, the chaos. So it's easy to go into, even if you meditate every day and you do your breath work, and try to stay very sensory awakened, like just watching things with curiosity. But how do you do it? Because
Well, fear is one of those things that it's mind made. So I think that if you always remember that it's ego driven, it's mind made, it's a human quality, right? And it's meant to keep us safe, fight or flight, right? It's meant to keep us physically safe here, to know when danger is around the corner and that kind of thing. But it's way overused. We get scared to go outside sometimes, and so I think just if you can, when you have fear, if you can just remember that that's my ego, that's my brain, because spirit is the opposite of that. They always come in calmly, easily, there's a peace and a comfort that comes in. So if you can just have that distance from it to say, that's just my thoughts, that's just my fear coming in. It's man-made. It's my own doing. It's my ego trying to keep me limited in some way, and then try to do whatever it is anyway, or go, like I said, go towards it. Because what I've noticed is that that's the signal that's telling you you're about to grow, right? If you go towards it. If you run away from it, then you stay small, and that's what that's what your ego wants you to do, is to stay separate and small.
Yeah.
And if you can move towards it, you're about to grow, you're about to expand. And so if you can see it that way, and kind of, once you bring in that observer position, it doesn't have the same hold on you. It's almost like you pulled it out into the light, right? Rather than being like, oh, what is it? Keeping it in the closet, in the dark. That's when it's scariest. But if you can pull it out into the light and see it for what it is, it helps a lot.
That okay, I just got a big aha moment.
Good.
Because years ago when my husband passed, I had this grief that, everybody has someone that they love pass. You go through that grief, and it's like, finally I would start welcoming grief in. I'd say, come on, let's go sit on the sofa together. Let's have, something to drink, a cup of tea. Let's watch a movie. Let's cry, whatever you want. Let's go for it. And so I never really thought about welcoming fear in the same way. But
I love that. Yeah.
yeah, maybe I'll ask them to sit on my sofa. So
yeah. And it'll be this big when it's actually there. You can actually see it and pull it out into the light. It's like, oh, you're only that big. Okay.
yeah, you're not all that, man. You're just not all that. Yeah. It's been a lot for everybody, and I know that right now too, I feel like there's a way that we can harness this energy for abundance at the same time, because there's so much energy coming in that where we put our awareness of the energy and give energy to something is kind of what we receive back.
Yeah.
Do you feel like that right now, that we can if we stay in fear? That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, and because we are so powerful. We don't realize how powerful we are, but we really are. And what we put our focus on, where we place our attention, it does get magnified. Whether it's a positive, it can be positive or negative, And being able to be aware of how powerful and how much control we do have over our own world. That we're actually building it, and we're actually kind of we're the architects, really. It can feel sometimes like life is happening to you constantly, but we really are the architects. And even if we can't control everything that comes at us at any given time, we can always control how we respond or how we react, and that can change the vibration of whatever it is instantly. I recently had a thing in the UK where, well, first of all, in the first week of the UK, I put my ATM card in the bank and it ate my card.
Oh.
So I'm like, oh, wonderful. Now what do I do? So I walked in the bank and asked about it. They're like, yeah, oh, sorry, we can't really do anything. You have to contact your bank. I'm like, but I'm here, for 2 months.
Oh my God.
And I walked out and thought, well, okay, this is interesting. Let's see what's going to happen. And it worked out fine. My son-in-law got me some cash, and it was no big deal. Later on, I lost my credit card. I didn't lose it. My daughter lost my credit card because I handed it to her. And I thought, and so this came upon me, and she's freaking out because she realizes she left it in the restaurant or whatever. And I thought, nope, I'm going to just act as if the universe has my back. I'm just going to pretend it does. I'm just going to assume it does. And I walked to the restaurant and said, with that, attitude of just like, it is what it is. And I know the universe has my back. It's fine. And I walked in, and she said, and I said, my daughter left my credit card, yesterday, and is it here? And she said, what's your name? And she pulled it out and she said, here's your card. This never happens. So usually if you left it, it's gone. But she's like, you're so lucky. This never happens. And I said, oh, thank you so much. But that's how you do it, right? And I'm not perfect. I don't do it all the time. Trust me. I have those moments where I'm like, why? But when you can realize, okay, I have control over this. Okay, this has happened, but now it's in my court and I can decide how I respond. And I can respond consciously in a way that changes the vibration of what's happened, or I can react unconsciously and just, react in a way that's very visceral, So, yeah.
Yeah. And when you say that, I think you're going into curiosity, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. When I can go into my senses or curiosity about something, and say, oh, I know who you are. I've seen you before, your fear or your grief. So now I'm going to use it with fear, but I'm so excited.
Right.
But there's a lot to that. It's funny how it just changes the paradigm, I guess, the energy around it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I hope everything was great in England.
It was. Yeah, it was a great trip. It really was. And I even forget that those couple of things happened. At the time, of course, it's the center of your universe, but it's things happen and you have to, realize that once they happen, you have control. You have control of the vibration at that point. Right.
Yeah.
It helps.
I love that. Okay, well, we have Mr. Garnet here from the UK. So I know. right when we were going in, I was like, oh, Garnet's here and he's got a question. Yes, come on. Overcome the negative, the fear, and you see the universe work with you.
Yeah.
Oh, so a statement, even better. Thank you, Garnet. I love that. Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Gina, okay. I've been doing shadow work. What does shadow work and integrating unseen parts of yourselves support?
Okay. So can I, do you care if I answer this one? Because I've just been doing it and you're, while you're getting your answer from your guys. So I just sent an email to Gina actually, because, so before I kind of put the channel, and it's just a couple of shows. I'm still doing the club and like personal readings and stuff. But what was happening was I felt like when you do, especially when you do this work all the time, you constantly sort of are seeing growth in all of your abilities. Like it kind of gets a little easier, and you see, oh, I'm expanding here and expanding there. And it got to this point where I'm doing all this stuff and I feel like I'm stuck. I feel like I'm not really, it's like there's a thing I can't get past. And I feel like I should be expanding more or getting or something. It was just felt so awkward and weird. And finally, I just felt like, I think I need a break. I think I need a little bit of time. And the reason why it's so, and to somebody else might be like, yeah, you've been doing this for 8 years, 24/7 year. Yeah, you need a break. But for somebody who, when you love this and you really love it and you just want to do it, that doesn't compute. It's like, I should be able to do this all the time. It doesn't, it's almost like it doesn't make sense because I love it so much, But so I put the channel on hiatus, and what started to happen was I started to realize that I had shadow work to do. I was staying so busy and so much in this realm that's so wonderful and it makes you feel so great and you love it. And meanwhile, my earthly self was needing to work through some stuff. And for people that consider themselves spiritual and on a spiritual path, it has the connotations of good and like positive, and like it has these things that you blend in with that. And when you have to do shadow work, it's yucky. Like you're looking at the yucky parts of yourself, and you're looking at the darker parts of yourself, and it feels so bleh, and so you're constantly like, okay, I'll do that later. Okay, I'll do that later. And, and maybe if I just stay in the light enough, that stuff will just kind of,
Right.
but it does not work that way. And intellectually, I know that. And yet at the same time, I was still trying to be like, no, I don't want to deal with that. So finally, everything just kind of halted. And my guides were making me, in their own sweet, lovely way, stop and do some inner work. Otherwise, you're just going to stay where you are, and you're just going to keep getting more and more exhausted, which was what was happening. It was like this it was like, I call it like a spiritual burnout, like a spiritual exhaustion. And with that work, I had a huge epiphany as to why we do shadow work. And basically, shadow work is like, maybe you haven't forgiven somebody for something, or maybe you haven't forgiven yourself for something, or maybe you're holding on to a resentment or a jealousy, or like I said, it's kind of just icky parts you don't like to see in yourself, but you know that they're there. Everybody has them. It's our humanness. But one of the things I realized was that, the reason you do shadow work is not just to love yourself more. It's to understand source. It's to understand how source has the capacity to love you in spite of X, Y, and Z, unconditional love. If you cannot have unconditional love for yourself, and you don't go through that experience of going through the muck and then being okay with yourself, you're cut off from fully understanding source and how unconditional love works. When we come here, we're here to experience what we're not, and in that experience of experiencing what we're not, we can understand more fully what we are. So we only live in peace and love. So, for example, we live in complete freedom on the other side of spirits. When we come to the earth plane, we have restriction, we have oppression, things like that. So then we really understand freedom, right? When on the other side, we have love and joy always. So here there's hate, there's dislike, there's detesting, people and things like that.
Yeah.
And there's instant creativity, right? Instant manifestation. And here it's much harder. It's like walking through mud. You have to think it up, and then you have to get a team together, and you have to pay for it. It's this whole thing to create here. It's so slow, and you really work for it here, right? And then there also it's eternal, and here it's all about beginnings and endings. And there it's all oneness. We're all connected, and we know that. Here we're all separate, and it feels like we're not connected, but we are. But it feels like we're not, and we're in separate bodies with separate minds, and that separate us, right?
Yeah.
But that's why that's at least one of the main reasons we're here, is so that we can fully appreciate where we come from and who we really are. Without the opposites, or the understanding what we're not, we can't fully understand what we are or appreciate what we are. We can't. It's not possible. And I thought the same thing with shadow work. When you do shadow work and you come out the other side, and you still can appreciate and love yourself for getting through that and looking at all the muck, you start to understand source better. How source can love us all with our blemishes and our garbage and our nonsense and our, whatever, and can still, it helps us to get a glimpse of that. and understand source better. But that was a huge epiphany I had in doing that work. It's not fun. It's not fun, but it's worth it. It really is. It's humbling, you know.
Are you going to write a book on this?
Yeah.
I'm curious. This feels like your next class or a book. It feels bigger than a class.
Thank you.
It does feel bigger than a class.
Maybe shadow work would be some, because I to be honest, when I kept, and that was the other thing is the universe speaks to you. Before I took this break, I cannot tell you how many videos, how many things that shadow work came up, and I kept seeing it and knowing it and thinking, and again, like pushing it off. Oh, I don't want to do that right now. I'll do that later. That sounds hard. It doesn't sound like fun.
Ding, ding, ding. Right.
But it's worth it. And I think I didn't understand fully what it was, but really it's just looking at stuff you didn't want to look at, the jealous parts of you, or the angry parts of you, or the resentful parts of you, and it's really just the human parts of us. That's really all it is. Yeah. But when you work in the spiritual realm and you work with spirit all the time, it even seems ickier. Because you're like, oh, I don't want to do that.
Right.
That's terrible.
It does, doesn't it? Yeah. Sometimes it's hard to go out in the world after you've had shows and meditations and whatnot and classes, and you're like, I don't want to go out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's so necessary. And then for the reasons I stated, it's so necessary. It really, really is. And it helps that helps to get the gunk out of the way, and it helps you grow and be humble. And that's what leads to, then you can grow and expand and go back to growing and expanding in your abilities, or whatever, your spiritual growth and that kind of thing. So
yeah, that's beautiful. I do feel like, Gina, that your heart is expanding, and that's Kim had this beautiful description of everything. I just got love.
No, that's it. That is that heart, because you have to be included in that. You can't love everybody else and love spirit and love all these things and not have it be for yourself as well.
Yeah. Don't you feel like everybody that we see is kind of our creation, of the energy that we need at that point? And that if we don't love them, and we don't have to love them demonstratively, right? But loving them where they're at.
Yeah.
Then it's, I get that. And that's come up a lot for me lately too, with, relatives that I haven't talked to for years or something. And thinking I need to make some phone calls or write a letter and throw it away even, but come back into that. Beautiful.
Yeah. And so many philosophers, and, I know Carl Jung is one that, when you have those things that other people that you just don't like, there's usually some part of yourself that kind of matches it, or you don't want to believe that it's there, but it might be there a little bit too. Or that it's possible it could be there, and that's scary. And so you push people like that away. You don't even want to know if it's there. You don't want to know, extreme selfishness or things like that, where you're just like, oh, I don't like that. I don't like that at all. But, so many philosophers are like, the reason it triggers you is because either you're afraid that it's inside of you somewhere, or it is in some form. Right. We talked about like the Humpty Dumpty in the Oval Office right now. I call him Humpty Dumpty. It's my preschool teacher and me, but he has definitely made me realize that I definitely have a hate capacity I didn't know I had.
Oh, yeah.
Because of him, right? I mean, I didn't know that was there. And it's been pulled out because of the actions and the things that are being done, and that it made me realize, oh, I do have the capacity to to really despise the actions or despise what somebody's doing, or that, or feel that hate come up because you're so angry, or even the anger, right? I didn't know that was there. I didn't know that could be there, right?
Yeah.
He's a mirror for a lot of things, for a lot of people.
He really is, isn't he? And it's like some days I feel like the whole world is the mirror.
Mm-hmm.
Everywhere we look, it's another mirror of ourselves and what we are creating. Yeah, it's a tough one right now out there. What I used to think of as boundaries, and I still do hold boundaries for certain things, but now I'm kind of starting to look at those boundaries and thinking, are you not taking this client, or not doing this because you don't feel capable, or is it because you don't want to get involved in this in some way that would hurt somebody or might hurt me? So it's tough to, and you're so compassionate with everybody.
Oh, thank you. I can get annoyed though. I mean, I can get, you know what I mean? I can get frustrated or annoyed, or like, I already said this, or I did this, or it's like, I can have that. I try to always be in a loving way, or, just still love people and stuff like that. It's but you can still get annoyed, just like when you have kids and you love them to the, so much, and yet they can drive you crazy. And so I don't think that's I think that's just it's the human parts of us. And I think it's parts we need to work on. If it's, patience or whatever, and we have those flare-ups, it reminds us that it's still there, and that's okay, but I think, but yeah, I mean, I do. I love, like I said, I love what I do. So it's always, I'm always loving it, even if it's, like, oh my gosh, not again, or whatever.
Yeah.
This is hour 3, and what am I doing,
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's, and the Vedas, they call it your dharma, what you're kind of driven to do, like what makes your soul happy. That you're going to do. And I believe in that, but sometimes we get so used to being the driver.
Yes.
Instead of being driven, and we're just, going places with no rhyme or reason, because we got to do this, we got to do that. So I love that you're doing this. This is huge to take a break like that.
Yeah. And it'll come back, but it's been really useful. And like I said, stuff has come up I didn't expect. I didn't know why I was taking a break when I took it, but I just thought, I'm not getting anywhere. I need to stop and see what's going on.
I love that. Hey, Connie B, good to see you. What is the lesson we're learning by this chaos in America?
Okay. So I'm getting that a lot of it's about choice. It's about choosing light over dark, and also being able to kind of, and maybe not light over, I mean, maybe a higher vibration instead of lower vibration. It also, I think, has to do with sort of getting to know who you really are and where you really stand. I think there's a kind of self-empowerment that's going on. Us realizing our true power, the power that we have. Because a lot of this, I feel like, is trying to make you feel powerless and take away your power, right? And I think a lot of people are learning about not only their power as a human being, but their power as a spiritual being as well, if you're on that path, But I think it's a lot about choice, a lot about waking people up. We know we wake up through adversity and through challenge. And so it's kind of shaking some people awake. What do you think, Teri?
Yeah, I do feel like there's a lot of agents of change on the planet right now.
Yeah.
And they are really shaking things up.
Yeah.
And making us look at things in a different way, but also making everybody around us kind of getting the whole planet to wake up.
Yeah.
And I got that song in my head. You've got me under your thumb, deep in the heart of me. And kind of just that when somebody tries to put you under their thumb, you rise up. And that's kind of what we're all doing. We're all awakening because everything's falling apart in part for the respects. Like the old ways are crumbling, the old constructs of society. You know, I'm supposed to be a good girl and I'm not supposed to talk too loud. And I'm supposed to have 1 week of vacation or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we're thinking what really matters to us. And that's because somebody is trying to put their thumb on us. They also are showing me a box. And the box is kind of like, we've kind of been living in that. And we do that a lot, don't we? Because it's so easy to. I mean, stay inside your house, stay inside your job or whatever you're doing. But it's really taking us out of our box. So we're looking at things in a completely different manner now.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And it's also, as we're learning about our own personal power, there's also a type of unity happening as well. And it is people coming together to demand things that they deserve, really. I mean, it's about, that we deserve to live. We all deserve to live comfortably, to have healthcare, to have, food to eat. We all deserve the basics. We all deserve that. And this idea that, no, you got to work for it. You got to get out and work and bust your ass to get it. That is nonsense. It isn't, I'm, just saying, everyone, I feel about this, but I have also felt like some of this is showing us what capitalism really is. It's very cold and it's very cruel. And I feel as long as we just, sell ourselves to that and kind of adhere just to that, we're going to have a cold and cruel society. Because when the bottom line is all that matters, that is a cold place to be. It really is. We have got to take care of each other and take care of our seniors and take care of our veterans and take care of our disabled family members and people that are chronically ill. And we have to. And I think that people are waking up to this fact that we all deserve these things. This is not about you have to earn it. No, you're alive, you're breathing, you deserve it. You deserve it, And I think we're all coming to that, conclusion slowly, but we've been fed a bill of goods for a very long time. And so it's hard to break that spell, but I feel like these people showing us the callousness and the cruelty they're showing us is waking people up in droves.
It really is, isn't it? We're such a consumer-driven society, and really one of our national pastimes is shopping.
Yeah.
And you're so good. You've been on your channel a lot, like paring down with all your stuff. And I really admire that. And I'm working on it. But
it's been a process. It's not easy. It really isn't. It's you get there, but it does take. I shared the videos because I had to work through things emotionally, spiritually. It's not just stuff, not when you're an American. It's not. So
it's really not. It's the national pastime, and we're fed it from the time we grow up. And now in particular, a lot of the kids are really fed it. I mean, social media, all the Birkins and all the influencers that are wearing all the clothes. And now it's interesting that a lot of the influencers are just people that are traveling and people that are living in their hearts. And also I just wanted to mention going to England. And you really see the difference. I've got family there too, you guys. My brother lives there, and it's like when I go for a month, my body feels different because
Yeah.
I ate the food that they raised for good health to take care of their people. And we don't do that. We have that bottom line here.
We don't. And certain things like our wheat is not healthy. There are certain things that are just not healthy here because it's mass produced. It's all chemicals. It's all, and even the way that we treat animals and all of that, it all, it's all karmic. It will come back to, to affect us in some way. We can't do that, and so I think that when you live in a just not a capitalist, a complete capitalist site, it does make room for compassion and for also, it's like, why is it that every year we have to make more money? It has to be more. It has to be the shareholders. It has to be more. That is craziness. Why? If everybody's making enough money, if we're all surviving, why? It's because people are, it feeds the greed in people. It feeds people's worst impulses is what it is.
Yeah.
And we're seeing the effects of late stage capitalism, and it's really, really ugly. And so, and we need to fix it. It doesn't mean we need to get rid of it completely, but there has to be a world in where we have to think of human beings first, and animals and nature and our planet. And it cannot be about money, because money, as we learned on the Titanic, money is useless at some point. It doesn't matter. When the ship is going down, it does not matter how much money you have, right?
So do you see us having like a living wage or a national wage or a global wage that's just given? Because and do you see it before 2030? Sorry, guys, I jumped to the top there.
Yeah, I think there will be other things that come in, like universal health care and things that will come in before that. I feel like that may be kind of almost like the last peg on the wheel, or one of the last pegs, you know what I mean? But I do feel like there'll be like an expansion of Medicare, expansion of Medicaid, expansion of some of the programs that we have that work, and universal health care, and taking care of people that need to be taken care of. And I feel like some sort of basic, like a living, not minimum wage where you work for it, but like a basic place where nobody can go under, I feel might be the one of the last pegs to kind of be filled in. That's kind of just my feeling.
Wow.
But I feel like the other stuff will come into play pretty soon. And I think it may be out of necessity. I think we have to, partly, I think out of necessity, because people are going to become so outraged and so upset by what they're seeing. Even just seeing military have to stand in food lines, I think it infuriates people.
Yeah.
It infuriates people that not only that this is happening, but that they are so close to the poverty line when they are serving our country. It makes no sense.
Yeah.
Or that a veteran would be homeless, that a veteran wouldn't have every single thing they needed for the rest of their life. I think it outrages people, but I also think people don't know how to change it. And so I think what's happening now is going to force people to figure it out, put our leaders' feet to the fire. And if they can't do it, get rid of them and put in people that can. But I think for the longest time, people don't know where to start. It's like there's so many things. How do we start? But with these people tearing everything down as painful as it is, and it's so painful to watch and to see, and to go through. But I think that they're showing us that you just get in there and you just start doing it. You don't have to wait for someone to tell you that it's okay to do it. We all need to just get in there and start going.
Yeah.
Right.
Even at a community level, right? I do see that happening a lot sometime in the future, not too far away, because we're going to see people, like you said, that can't afford things. And
right.
Yeah.
Right.
Where to start? It's really hard. Elizabeth, I saw this when you asked it, and I thought, that's a beautiful question. What gives your life meaning?
Think about that. I mean, there are lots of things, I think of family. I think of the beauty in the world. I think of pets. I think of, so I think that the gentle and beautiful things in the world are probably what give my life meaning. But I also think that I've always had this like innate desire to see how things, to see how the story ends, to see how the story, to see how the story continues. So I think that also gives it meaning. Like I remember when I had made the decision, my husband and I got engaged, and he was a student here, so he was going to have to go home. So it was either say goodbye forever or get engaged and I go with him. And we decided to do that. And my mom said, well, aren't you scared? What about your car? What about your job? What about this? And I said that I have to know how this story ends. It can be cut off this way. I need to see it to where it's the natural end. So I think there's some of that too, that for me, just being curious, how does the story go? How does my story continue and eventually end? What is the story? So I think that gives it meaning, my curious nature. I think that's part of it too, is just wanting to see how the story continues and how it ends. What about you, Teri?
God, it's such a great question. I feel like curiosity for sure about what's going to happen and what things are going to look like. But also, it's just so much fun. I mean, there are parts that are sad, and there are parts that are really tough. But there are parts of this that are such a joy to be here. And I feel like the senses that we have here in the 3D, that I don't feel like we have the same senses, like being able to taste things, being able to touch things, being able to see the trees. And I know that other areas are rather enchanted probably, or the crystalline energy is so beautiful. But really it's, they say it's highly unusual here to see the darkness in the light. And I kind of think that that's really an interesting thing. So I'm just having fun pitter pattering. My life meaning.
I think that is true. Like those little things, that are really. I was listening to, I can't remember what song. I think I was listening to I want to say it was an Aretha Franklin song, and I thought I would have come to Earth just for this. Just to hear this song, you know what I mean? In this way, like with my earphones and just taking a walk and listening to, I thought this is the most glorious thing. And I'm sure there's amazing and beautiful music in the spirit realm. I'm sure of it. But I think that's where, that's where it all comes from, is from the spirit realm. But I thought I would have come to Earth just for this, just to hear this woman sing this song.
Right.
So beautiful.
Yeah. I do these hot tub meditations. I have a hot tub right behind my house here, right outside my window, right next to my big tree. And anyway, so in the mornings I talk to the squirrels, which is weird, and I have squirrels.
They're so human-like though sometimes, because the way they hold their food and the way that they respond and stuff, they're so cute.
and they come and we have conversations, and we talk to each other, and then the birds will come in and I'll talk to the birds and whistle at them or whatever. And then today I was like, give me a sign. And sure enough, boom, a sign came falling down out of the tree. And I was like, okay.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
But it was in the water, so it was okay. But I thought, well, I didn't preface what kind of sign I wanted, did I? So it was like, okay, you're being funny, Spirit. Thank you very much. Yeah. Okay. Let me see here.
Yeah, thank you, Elizabeth. That was a fun one. It makes you think. It makes you really stop and think about, yeah, what am I doing here?
Yeah. Hey, Daniel, this is a good one. Can our taking too long to process through grief cause any difficulty for our loved ones, like holding back their ascension and growth?
Mm. I feel like, so first of all, I feel like the answer is no. I feel like it doesn't hurt their growth. And anyway, that's the way that it's coming through for me.
Yeah.
But I also feel like there is when a loved one passes, and especially if you're very connected, like a mother and child, or like a spouses, or if you're very close to a friend or a family member, whatever, they already have an understanding of how long this is going to take. They know you and your soul and what you're here for so well that they know what the process might be and how long it's going to be. So it's almost like they're ready for it. Like they're prepped, they're ready, and they're ready to assist in what's coming for you. It's almost like they already know. That's the way it comes across. What about you, Teri?
Yeah, I really feel that too. They were showing me a teeter-totter, and it's like, and first of all, I agree with you 100%. It doesn't hold anybody back on the other side. So
Mm-hmm.
I've heard that before from other people, but I always think no. We have free will here on this planet, and they're divine beings on the other side. So, but there's this teeter-totter, and they do come back to help us, and it's like it was part of the contract, the soul contract, when they came down, like you said. You're kind of going to have a plan with it.
Yeah.
And we have free will, so we can hang on to it as long as we want to, or as long as it's part of our story. And I sure did, Daniel. So even I feel like I'm just coming out of it. Like I did all this work and everything, but now it's so much more joy in my life. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of walked through this window with it. And maybe that was because I've seen so many other people with their grief too. And sometimes helping other people through their grief is one of the best things we can do to kind of come through ours. At least it was for me. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So
the other thing I think that we forget is that we're so selfless as spirits. We're always acting for the other. We're always, we're so anxious to help one another. And we know it's so clear that if I'm helping you, it's helping me, it's helping all of us. And so here that's not as clear because we have our own ego and our own whatever, our own stuff that we're wrapped up in or whatever. There's a type of selfishness that's kind of built in a way because of our ego. But with spirit, it's completely selfless there. And there's also this bigger, broader understanding So your loved ones or the people that you came in with, they know the whole story. They don't just know this one little lifetime and this one little story. They know all of it. So they really do they're in a very different position than we are in this very limited linear, time and space situation that we have here. They're in a much different situation. And also reminding you too that they can split their attention so easily. They can be here and there. And I know it's a weird concept for us because it sounds, but we do it too. Where if we multitask, or if we are sitting in a room and we're writing a letter, we're not unaware that we're in a room, but we've just shifted our attention to the letter. If someone knocks on the door, we shift our attention back. It's the same kind of thing. So when you're thinking about your loved one, they're aware, and they come. I even have people in mediumship when I've done like parents, grandparents. It's like I'll be there for the holidays because I know that everybody has a hard time at the holidays, so I'm always there. I'm always there for the holidays or birthdays or on the day of my transition. I'm always there. They know. They know, and they know us so well. And like you said, it's sort of predetermined. It's kind of in our kind of our massive blueprint that we do to for all of it, for our entrance, our exit, and everything in between.
Yeah, there's so many signals that they give us too. There's so many little, like a feather, or I always see a piece of dark cloth on the floor. I know it's my husband coming in. I'm like, what are you doing? But he's funny. But it's always amazing. My mom had some good friends that were psychic, and one of them, she was a medium, Mary Starr. And at my mom's funeral, she came up and she said, "Your mom just told me that you'll feel a little space, a warmth on your back, and that's your mom giving you a hug."
Oh,
So, and to this day, I remember this, and I feel that. So I feel like that happens a lot when I'm doing mediumship with people, that a loved one will give a message like this, like they're going to touch your cheek or your hair, and it's really sweet.
yeah,
So
yeah, it is.
comforting.
Yeah, the relationship can continue. It's just different, and it's hard for us as human beings because the physical is so important. Seeing their face and giving them a hug, and being around them and talking to them, and using our voices and that kind of thing to communicate. But it really can continue and even deepen when they're on the other side. It's us allowing it to happen and working on our abilities to be able to connect in a different way.
Yeah. Sometimes some of the people that have been adversaries too on the other side, it's interesting, or on this side, in certain ways. When they get over there, I feel like they're just light beings. It was just the constructs when they were here.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
That was a great question, Daniel. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, be free. This is going to be a long one. Can you tell the difference between the energy of a spiritual death for rebirth, for vibrational shift, sorry, versus how you read a physical death for crossing over and leaving physically?
Trying to think of readings that I've had that. I mean, because they're both types of transformation, right? For me, I guess I can tell the difference, but I have had it where, like I've had a couple of like pets that it can be a little confusing, especially for me in the beginning with mediumship. It could be a little confusing as to whether I was seeing, because everybody seems alive. You know, even if they passed, to you as a medium, they seem alive. They don't seem like they passed at all. So sometimes I could, I know some mediums, like I know Debbie has like a dead side and a live side and that kind of thing, but I don't have that. And so it kind of all blends. And so I can remember a couple of times thinking like a pet was alive because I could see it playing with a family, and but it wasn't, it had passed. But that was still what the experience it was having, but it was just the way I interpreted it. So I think it can get a little bit confusing, but I think, when you're what I find is that when I'm in the throes of reading in any way, my guides really try to make it as clear as they can. And even still, sometimes you misread or you misunderstand. It's going to happen, at least for me, it's going to happen sometimes. You just misunderstand or you just don't get it. But I feel like my guides are pretty good at spelling out, what's happening or what's going on. What do you think? Is that answering that question? I guess it is. Yeah.
I think so. When I first heard that question, they were showing me your palm, and like how like my lifeline has two different ways on it.
Mm-hmm.
I had a stop and a beginning, and I think a lot of people have that, especially a lot of people that do this work. And so it was interesting, but they were showing me that, and I feel like we can live many lifetimes. And sometimes that's with a walk-in even, or sometimes that's with you just change completely, you awaken.
Yeah.
And it's a huge thing. I have had pets that have come in, and I'll see them around somebody's feet, and I'm like, you've got this little furry one that loves you so much, and they're playing around, and they're like, oh, that's my cat, she just died, or and
Right.
and so I do feel like their energy stays around us for a long time. But spiritual death or rebirth, vibrational shift, and physical death, a lot of times on physical death, sometimes be free. They'll come in and they'll let me feel it in their heart space, and they'll let me feel it like maybe whatever happened to them, whether it was a heart attack or something happened with their shoulder or whatever. They'll show me not necessarily something about their passing, but something that hurt at that time.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah.
I hope that helps, dear. So forgot to look here. Okay, so well, you got time for one more?
Sure.
Okay, let's do it. Okay, Leslie. Hello, Leslie. Question. Is there a sound on the other side, or is it different from sound here instead of a kind of just knowing and inner feeling of various vibrations?
There's sound.
I hear lots of sound when I go in from spirit. Like they'll usually, like, you've got me under your thumb. They'll come in singing to me. So my guides sing a lot, and I know you're a musician, Kim. So I can only imagine how many frequencies you get. And the interesting thing that they do now too, Leslie, is they come in. And when they talk to me, it's like in a chorus, but it's like a huge chorus, and it's Teri, 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 and it's so beautiful to hear the angels talking, or the guides from the other side that are of this really high vibration, and it makes my heart so warm. So I do feel like they do that, and we also get like a lot of Prince will come in, Mozart. And they kind of all hang out together, it feels like, over there too. Like, it doesn't matter if they, were on Al Green or
Right.
or Mozart. So interesting, though. Yeah. Go
And
ahead.
I feel like that so much of what's here, even our senses, is kind of a limited version of what is there. It's kind of, and some of the things, the physical things are kind of a poor imitation almost of what is there. Because what I feel like sound is there is like, it permeates your whole body. It's not just the ears. It's not just like this one little area. It's like it goes through you. It's like it washes over you. Like if you were on the other side and you heard singing, it would permeate through your whole being. It would blend with your own vibration and your own essence. It's a much fuller experience. But this is the best we can do here. Like we're doing it here with our ears. But you had that experience, right, where you've heard a song and somebody hits a note and you just get chills through your whole body, right? Haven't you had those experiences? I know Liza Minnelli always gives me chills.
Oh my God.
Music. But that's more what it's like. That's kind of a pale, a comparison to what actually happens on the other side. But to me, it feels like it absolutely washes through your whole being, and we can get hints of that here in that kind of example. But it's a very limited experience, but it's the best we can do here, and it's still a wonderful, amazing experience here, right? It's different.
Yeah, really beautiful. Yeah, it's so different here, but it's one of the closest things that we get, I think, sometimes. That euphoria from listening to music. It's pretty special for me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for being here, Kim. What a joy.
Thank you for inviting me, Teri. I appreciate it.
Honored. That's what I always hear Spirit say is I'm so honored, and I am so honored that you're here. So
thank you. I'm happy to be here, and the channel will be back in a few weeks, and I'm just kind of just taking a break, but we'll be back. I'm still doing the club and readings and stuff like that. So thank you so much for having me. It's really a lot of fun, and thank you everybody in the chat.
Yeah, thank you so much, everybody here, and all our moderators. Thank you so much. So lots of love to everybody. We'll see y'all later.
Bye.
Bye.